letting other people help you. You do not have to do it by yourself. You are not the expert at everything. You don't have to know everything. And sometimes I would take delegating or asking for help early on as a mistake. And then I would overpromise and I couldn't deliver. And so I would miss a deadline or the project wasn't as high a quality as I would have wanted if I would have just stepped back and said to a colleague or someone else in the industry, can you please help me with this? And I've learned and seen, and we have an incredible team at SCORE, that when you lean on each other and collaborate, you have better results and it's easier. So make it easier on yourself by asking for help and not trying to do everything on your own.
What's going on, Next Gen fam? Welcome back to Mentor Momentum with Next Gen HQ. We have such a special guest for you guys this week. We have the head of an organization that is entirely focused on fostering small business communities. Over the course of her 10 plus years at SCORE Mentors, she has shot up the leadership chain and is now CEO. During her incredible rise, she has led initiatives from the marketing and communications team. She's appeared on MSNBC's Your Business and now leads SCORE's 300 plus chapters and over 10,000 volunteers. So we got to welcome her to the stage. Bridget Weston, CEO at SCORE Mentors. Thank you so much for joining us on Mentor Momentum.
I am so excited to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
We are so excited to have you, and I can't wait to dive in. And I want to learn about everything that you're leading at SCORE since your takeover back in June of last year. And before we get to that, I want to start way back in the beginning. So starting kind of as you're coming out of school, 20-year-old Bridget, what is maybe one piece of advice that you would give to that version of yourself?
Oh my gosh, hindsight is 2020, right? So for me, I have been an overthinker and a perfectionist since I was 8, 10. And so one of the things that I would tell my 20-year-old self is don't spend as much time as you think you need to worry about something. Like, think about it, plan, but then move forward. Overthinking is not going to help anyone. It's just going to stress you out. And you're not spending as much time being present and enjoying the successes that you've had from what you've been able to accomplish.
That's amazing. And as somebody who's on that train with you, I find that there are times where I am overthinking and I'm like, I just need to get out of my head. I'm sure it's not something that, I don't want to say cured, but it's definitely a hard habit to shake. How do you, when you notice yourself overthinking, how do you set yourself back in the present now?
Well, sometimes what I will do is look at what I've been able to do to be successful up until this point and remind myself that, again, that overthinking doesn't help me and doesn't serve me. Sometimes you really have to step away and stop that train of thought. And everything from telling yourself, stop thinking about this, to putting on a song and dancing it out for 5 minutes so that you just shake things loose and try something new. Sometimes you have to step away from the laptop, the phone, whatever it is. And then when you come back to it, you're so much more refreshed and rejuvenated.
Absolutely. Do you have a go-to song that's on the playlist when that comes on?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have a 6-year-old son, so unfortunately a lot of things are like kids bop song these days. But, Taylor Swift or that Call Me Maybe song is something that regularly pops into my head.
I love that. A question that we love to ask here, and obviously you've had such an incredible journey, but we always love to dig in on the mistakes and the failures because, we find people don't talk about them enough. And in a world of small business entrepreneurship, there are way more failures than there are those, unicorn success stories. So for you, whether it's, personal, professional, is there a moment where you had a failure or made a mistake and something that you learned from it so that our people can avoid that same trap?
I think it's really important to learn from our mistakes. And one of the sayings we have actually in my house is practice makes better, like not practice makes perfect, because nothing is perfect. And so just remembering that you're going to make mistakes and it's okay, and that's how you learn, is something that I have embraced through my career. Not as great early on, but I'm getting better. So one of the things, or the mistakes that I've made, not just like one big mistake, but a consistent mistake I've made that I've learned from and seen when I don't make it, it helps, is letting other people help you. You do not have to do it by yourself. You are not the expert at everything. You don't have to know everything. And sometimes I would take delegating or asking for help early on as a mistake. And then I would overpromise and I couldn't deliver. And so I would miss a deadline, or the project wasn't as high a quality as I would have wanted if I would have just stepped back and said to a colleague or someone else in the industry, can you please help me with this? And I've learned and seen, and we have an incredible team at SCORE, that when you lean on each other and collaborate, you have better results and it's easier. So make it easier on yourself by asking for help and not trying to do everything on your own.
On that thread, we, obviously I want to dive into some of the work that you have led and now, are fully overseeing at SCORE. We had an amazing community member who, is asking about how can you get the right guidance from, the mentors in your life as a mentee? What is the way to be that best mentee? And I think given your experience and everything that you guys are creating, I think you'd have a very interesting perspective on that.
I think, first of all, that mentoring in general, as you know, is so important. No matter what you're doing, who you are, both as a mentee and a mentor. I have relied on mentors throughout my career, and it has really helped me to learn and grow. One of the values we have at SCORE is lifelong learning matters. And I feel like as long as you are approaching life with there's always something more to learn or grow, you are going to be successful. So in terms of being a great mentee, one of the questions that I ask my mentors is, what am I not seeing? What questions am I not asking that I should? A lot of times I will go to my mentors and say, this is my problem. I have X number of dollars to spend. How do I prioritize in order to help the most small businesses, or whatever that would be? And if I allow the mentors to let me take a step or two back, I might see something from a different angle and then approach it entirely differently, have the same effect, but either, help someone else or, be smarter with the money. So asking the question about like, what am I not asking? What am I not seeing? What are my blind spots has really helped me.
And I think it's so powerful, especially, hearing from you in the seat of the CEO, where it's like, all right, you feel like everything's got to layer up and, still going for that guidance. And I think that message of lifelong learning is something that resonates deeply with us here at NextGen, and think it's an incredible value that you guys continue to push forward.
Thanks.
For you, when you're thinking about, your career journey, you've obviously sat in many different roles and opportunities. What would you say has been some of the most impactful learnings that, allow you to be the best CEO for SCORE now stepping into this role?
Well, I learned from early on in my career that I really wanted to do something that I could go to bed feeling like I've tried to make a difference in the world. As small as it is, as, removed or indirect as it is, I believe that entrepreneurs and small business owners really are the lifeblood at SCORE. And so knowing that I am doing my part to help people achieve their dreams, feed their families, solve a problem in the community, in the world, that really makes me feel good and helps me feel like I have been impactful. So just talking to the people and remembering why I do what I do, talking to the small business owners, talking to our 10,000 volunteers who give their time and expertise to help people, really helps me to remember what we do. And hearing those stories about, I was unemployed and then I started this company and now I'm selling my product in 10, countries across the world, really gives me that inspiration that I need.
Yeah. And I mean, you're talking to the perfect audience for all of this right now. We shameless plug time for our next gen entrepreneurs who are building businesses. What would you say is the best way for them to continue to get ahead, and how can they best access SCORE's resources to help them get the actual tangible boots on the ground mentorship that, every entrepreneur is looking for?
Well, thank you for the opportunity for the shameless plug. I really do appreciate it. And One of the things we hear from our clients, and I mean, SCORE has served more than 11 million entrepreneurs since we've been founded. We help hundreds of thousands of people each year. Last year, SCORE helped to start over 45,000 businesses, and that was during the pandemic when things were really tough. And I see when we talk to our clients that they feel like, again, they have to do it alone. You are definitely the expert in your area, your business, your need, but you might not be the best at cash flow accounting or, hiring practices. That's what we are here for. That's what SCORE mentors can help you do. And we have, again, 10,000 volunteer business mentors that have that expertise. They have that been there, done that knowledge. So you don't have to make the same mistakes we did 30, 40 years ago. And what I would say is go to score.org, see who's available, type in the issue that you're having, the business that you're looking to start. Our mentor profiles are available. You can pick who might be a good fit for you. And, with 10,000 people, it might be a little overwhelming. So you can also just reach out to your local SCORE office and they will pair you with the right person. But please know that it's not just that one person. You have the entire SCORE network behind you. That mentor will pull in resources, co-mentors, subject matter experts to get you the help you need.
It's incredible. Along your journey, what have you seen to be some of the biggest mistakes that founders are making? Is it that they're not asking for mentorship enough? Is it that, they're jumping into, stuff too fast without learning? What in your mind is kind of some of those problem areas that you guys see being, in the space of constant mentorship?
With dozens of different industries out there, the problems can be pretty specific depending on what you're doing, who you're serving. However, numbers, we serve hundreds of thousands of people. So some of the things we see are, I need funding to X, get started, add a person, keep my business going. And one of the mistakes we see, it actually ties into a mistake that I have made or the thing that I keep asking my mentors is, what am I not seeing? So a lot of small business owners think if I just get this loan, then I will be successful. Well, it might be that, you need to slow down production for 6 months, but then you'll be able to ramp up and be more successful in a sustainable way. So just not being narrow-minded or tunnel vision on this one problem, but being willing to step back and look at the whole picture. You might be surprised at the solutions you come up with.
Absolutely. It reminds me of, you see these hungry people coming on Shark Tank and they're like, I just need this loan. And they're like, wait, but you don't even have production scaled up. You're like, the loan's going to do nothing for you. But I think you're right. Having that vision of, okay, it's not just one thing. It's more holistic. What, if you step back, can you see kind of the, forest through the trees?
Yep, exactly.
Bridget, you are doing so much on a daily basis. You got 300 chapters, you got 10,000 volunteers, you have 11 million businesses that you've served, and you have a 6-year-old son. How are you managing to do everything for yourself? What in your personal life that are you doing in your habits and your daily routines that allows you to perform at such a high level?
Well, I appreciate that you just assume that I am performing at a high level. To be honest with you, I really do think it's a one day at a time approach, and definitely remembering that I have a team behind me, that I don't have to do it alone. Frankly, some days are really trying and you have to have a lot of difficult conversations and make difficult choices. You know what? On those days, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. Like, I put my kid to bed, I have some ice cream, and I go to bed because I need to be refreshed for the next day. Sometimes I have energy and I'm up and Netflix is on in the background and I'm working till midnight, and that's fine too, but it's when I have the energy. So just trusting myself, letting myself rest when I need to, knowing that tomorrow's a new day and I can tackle it tomorrow, and being willing again to step away even more than just that 9 o'clock bedtime, but taking a sick day for mental health, or taking a long weekend and unplugging a little bit really helps me to attack whatever problems or challenges are next head on.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that. I'm getting the visual image, of all right, it's time for bed, 9 p.m. Refresh time. But you said something in the beginning there about knowing that you have your team behind you. And I think something that entrepreneurs struggle with, and even, the people on my team that we're constantly trying to figure out, is how do you find that balance between, when you start a business, you're like, okay, the business is me, so I'm going to do everything, and then slowly like letting go of control. What has been your process towards being able to be a strong leader and understand that you can give the team stuff to do and that it'll get done to your standards, or at least, make you feel like everybody can take their responsibility?
Well, I think it's one of the toughest things that I've had to learn. And it's been really nice that I've been able to grow and develop in SCORE because I understand the culture. I know the people. My team has been able to understand my work ethic and how I like to be communicated with and to. So that has definitely been an asset. I do think that as an entrepreneur, one of the things, and I've had to do this too, one of the things we need to learn is to say no. Like, you want to do everything and you want to take every opportunity, but sometimes you can't because you're going to spread yourself too thin. Yeah. And so you might say, I can't do this. I need to say no, but can I bring on a contractor? Can I bring on a part-time employee? There are a ton of resources out there that help you find the right fit and match. Asking really good screening questions, giving a test to see if they can, do something that meets your standards. And sometimes people are going to fail or make mistakes, but using those as learning opportunities and giving people a second chance. I wouldn't give them fifth, sixth, and seventh chances, but give people chances to learn from their mistakes and they can grow too. One of my favorite things to do as a leader is to empower others and to see their success. And when they have solved a problem or fixed a mistake, it brings me such a deep sense of satisfaction. So if an entrepreneur or a small business owner can approach it from that angle and know that you can grow if you can share some of those things, I think it would be really helpful in the long run.
Absolutely. I want to talk about that very selfishly because, this is something that I'm dealing with on a daily basis where it's like, I'll be, all right, I gotta, work with somebody. I can't wait to see them succeed. And then they return it and it's not like the level I expected. And I'm like, all right, we got to get this done. And then I just dive in and do it myself, which is not helpful. And I know it's not helpful, but figuring out how to slowly start to transition and get better at being able to give people more ownership. And even when it's not perfect, what tips do you have for being able to just keep developing people and not feel like you need to pull it back in for yourself?
Regular check-ins and being really clear on what your expectations are. So if there is a project that you've handed off and it comes back to you and it's not up to your standard, really being honest with yourself and saying, okay, I know that my standards are, here, but what is like acceptable for my business? And it might be that there's this gap. And so letting go of some of those things and then addressing what needs to be addressed. And then you keep growing. I mean, I meet with my direct reports weekly and we have lists of things that they should be working on. And I give written feedback on things if they don't meet my standards. And then once they've mastered that, it's like, okay, now we're on to the next thing. We're going to keep growing. So being realistic with yourself of what's acceptable and what's not, and then being clear with that person, like that you need to meet this. This is the need to have, this is the nice to have.
Absolutely. See, this is why I do these interviews, because then I get the exact mentorship I'm looking for in a nice, fun forum.
I'm glad I could help.
One question I love to ask every guest is, I think people listening, watching would look up and say, wow, Bridget has this level of success that I want to strive for. And I always think it's interesting to hear from the, individual themselves, what your definition of success is and how you are striving towards that every single day.
It's a really good question. It's something I've had to work on because as I've grown and developed, I've had to change what that definition of success was. When I was leading the marketing department, my goals were a lot more structured of, I want to reach more people. I want to, deliver this project, et cetera. Now I've really changed my mentality to my role as the CEO is to be there for my team, remove obstacles, help support them when they need. So if I, go to bed at the end of the day and I know that one of my team members came to me with a problem and we got to a solution together, I feel great. If I know that I was able to get a resource to a team that then helps them to reach that next level, that's really fantastic. So I've really learned to think about my team, the volunteers, the clients that we're serving as my stakeholders and say, what can I do today to make their lives easier or better? And if I've done one thing that helps that, that to me feels successful.
Absolutely. Bridget, as we make it somehow towards the end of our time here, I told you, I don't know how it flies, but it flies. What words of wisdom, piece of advice do you have for the next generation entrepreneur? Anything, that you would share now, being where you are in the role that you are for our audience that's obviously trying to come up and hopefully change the world?
When we were talking about mistakes that we've made and overthinking and all of the things that I've tried to learn, and I'm still making progress, again, practice makes better, not practice makes perfect. Just owning up to what, the areas are that you can improve, or if you've made a mistake. I really love when someone on my team comes to me and says, you know what, I really screwed up. Here's what I did that I screwed up, and here's how I think we can fix it. I'm like, great. That's wonderful. When someone hides something or is trying to fix it without being honest, it's really, it doesn't build trust. And then I'm not willing to delegate more. And then, so those things can snowball. And I think that as, you're growing in your career, showing that you are willing to learn, showing that you're vulnerable, admitting to mistakes right away and being willing to fix them, it's really served me. I mean, I'm where I am today, and that's part of what I've been able to do. So it works.
Amazing. Bridget, from everything you've shared, I love this idea of practice makes better, not perfect, the importance of owning up to your mistakes and being able to really have in your success story, the impact, not just, the results, but genuine impact daily. So, I mean, everything you've shared has been so impactful for our audience, and I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for joining us here on Mentor Momentum with NextGen HQ.
It has been a true pleasure. Thank you so much.
That was Mentor Momentum, sharing life and business lessons from incredible leaders. Looking for more momentum? Subscribe to our weekly momentum newsletter at nextgenhq.com and check out our other podcast, Momentum Audio, on any of your favorite podcast channels. Now that's momentum.